Archangel Michael warning. A woman pretending to help you made eye contact. But what entered was a silent form of dark magic. She didn't need a spell. She used her eyes to bind you without a word. Watch immediately. The hour of unveiling is now. What was hidden in the eyes is being judged by fire. There is a stirring in the heavens, and I, Michael, commander of the Lord's armies, am released to speak. Not to all, but to those who know exactly what this is. You are not here by chance. The Spirit has led you to this message because heaven saw the silent exchange that took place. An encounter so brief, so subtle, yet so spiritually violent. It left a mark in your soul. You felt it, didn't you? That strange heaviness after what seemed like a harmless moment. That woman, the one who smiled, the one who looked you directly in the eyes, she did not cast a spell with words, for she never needed one. Her silence was her sorcery, and her gaze was the gay. This message is not for the masses. It is for the few who can still feel the aftershock, the draining confusion, the strange unrest, the fog that followed what should have been a peaceful conversation. If your peace disappeared after a brief connection, if your spirit has been swirling in questions without answers, this is the confirmation your soul has been crying out for. There was a transaction. There was a transfer. But not of love, nor compassion. No, what moved in that moment was a hidden form of dark magic. It did not roar like a lion. It whispered like a lamb. She did not ask for permission. She bypassed words. She found your gaze and offered a counterfeit kindness, a fraudulent light dressed as empathy. And in doing so, she bound you with unspoken intent. Your spirit paused, but your mind could not understand. You've been asking yourself why such a small moment carried such a heavy aftermath. This is why. Not every helper is holy. Not every smile carries light. And now, heaven speaks. Do not dismiss what you've been feeling as coincidence. Do not explain away your restlessness. The Holy Spirit has orchestrated the timing of this message with divine precision. What you are hearing now is a lifeline from eternity. The Father would not leave you blind. He sends Michael with fire in his voice to say, "This is the hour of your unveiling. The deception ends today." Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. By the authority of the throne, I am sent to expose what eyes concealed. This is not just a message, it is a divine interruption. An authorized dispatch from the courts of heaven, carried on the wings of fire, declared by one sent from the side of the Almighty. I, Michael, stand as the guardian of truth and the breaker of invisible chains. And I have come now because your spirit has been touched by a hand it never saw, bound by a look it never understood, and robbed by an energy it did not invite. You are not imagining this. You are not overreacting. That moment, that simple exchange, was not simple at all. A woman approached you. Perhaps she offered words of wisdom. Perhaps she overheld. Perhaps she offered nothing at all. Just a smile, a moment of sustained eye contact, and a comforting tone that disarmed your guard. But what your soul picked up in that split second was not comfort. It was control. She came wrapped in what looked like peace. But peace does not leave behind confusion. Light does not make you heavy. Discernment, yes, true discernment, is not birthed from fear, but from a sudden awakening. And right now, your spirit is being awakened, because something entered through her eyes. Something cloaked itself in sincerity. Something masked itself in virtue. But it was deception. It was manipulation. It was dark magic, not chanted, not spoken, but cast through vision. Heaven has summoned you to attention. You are one of the few, the spiritually sensitive, the divinely aware, who can no longer ignore the shift that took place after that encounter. Your mind questioned it. Your body felt it. Your emotions were stirred and scattered. And now the spirit confirms it. The moment of eye contact was an access point. Not just a physical gaze, it was a spiritual agreement. She did not need words to bind you. Your attention was her permission. But hear this now. Do not fear. For what was bound can be unbound. What was taken can be returned. What was stolen can be restored, sevenfold. I have come with fire, and I have come with truth. You are not a victim. You are being awakened to your authority. This is not the beginning of your defeat. It is the unveiling of your dominion. You are not being punished. You are being promoted in discernment. The next 3 hours will be pivotal. Mark this moment. Within 3 hours, a flash of clarity will hit your spirit like lightning. The fog will lift. The heaviness will break. You will hear, see, and know, not by the mind, but by the Spirit. The confusion is not your identity. It is the residue of her influence, and it is lifting now under the authority of heaven. Heaven is interrupting your scrolling. Heaven is breaking into your routine. Heaven is speaking over your doubt, over your hesitation, over your silence, because you are chosen to awaken now. You are not weak. You are not naive. You are anointed, and your discernment is being sharpened in fire. Type "I am anointed" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. There is a mystery unraveling, one that your spirit has already begun to sense, a mystery not born in logic, but in spiritual disturbance. It began the moment her eyes lingered too long. It wasn't what she said. It wasn't how she moved. It was the silence, thick, charged, and disguised as stillness, that clung to you after she walked away. At first, it seemed like compassion. At first, it felt like warmth. But then the warmth turned to weight. Your thoughts began spiraling. Your energy shifted. Your peace shattered, not violently, but subtly, like glass cracking beneath gentle pressure. That was not chance. That was not random. That was the residue of a spiritual transaction. Listen now, for heaven speaks plainly. She smiled. Yes, but her smile was not innocent. She prayed, yes, but her prayer was not pure. I lived like Kiwigubhidville. What felt like empathy was a siphon in disguise. Her presence didn't fill you. It emptied you. Her words didn't bless you. They clouded you. Her eyes didn't see you. They scanned you. He knew something you didn't speak. He saw something she didn't earn. And though she never raised her voice, she raised her spirit against yours, in silence. You started to ask questions, not just about her, but about yourself. Why am I suddenly so tired? Why do I feel drained after seeing her? Was that genuine concern or something else? These questions weren't born from paranoia. They were born from the stirring of your spirit, which recognized something your mind couldn't name. That's not weakness. That's not oversensitivity. That is spiritual discernment waking up under pressure. That is the Spirit of the Lord alerting your soul that something is off. Something unspoken, something strategic, something sent to dim your rising light. She was not just a woman passing through. She was a carrier, not of darkness in appearance, but of interference in spirit. And you knew what she was doing. Some are used unknowingly, but others they study the light. Amen at the dawn of the holy. They echo the language of the anointed, but their heights are far from truth. and their presence carries an undertow of control masked as care. And now I tell you this, there were watchers with her, spirits that do not move alone, entities that travel on the fumes of jealousy, pride, and false compassion, spirits that cannot create, only attach, spirits that ride in on compliments, that slip through encouragement, that embed themselves through excessive attention. These are the ones that lingered behind after she walked away. They whispered to your thoughts. They pulled on your energy. They made you question what you knew just days before. A confusion, a fog, and sudden emotional imbalance. That was not your failure. That was a proof of their presence. But hear me, and hear the heavens. Your spirit was not broken. It was activated. Your confusion was not your undoing. It was your discernment sounding the alarm. Heaven allowed the discomfort so you would look deeper, so you would pause, so you would pray, so you would stop handing access to those whose presence costs you your peace. The ones sent to dim your light always come before the flame increases. Your spiritual elevation is near. That's why interference was sent first. But it has failed, because now you know. Now you see. Now you remember the moment, the shift in atmosphere, the change in temperature, the gaze that lingered too long. The spell was silent, but heaven is loud. And now the reversal has begun. Type "I break every binding" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 777 is now surrounding your house. The same light that exposed her eyes is the light that draws others into truth. And if this message unlocked something in you, let it help set someone else free. When you sow into this ministry, you're not giving to a platform. You're planting into a mission that tears veils off eyes and shatters chains in silence. The word says in Galatians 6:7, "Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." And as you release support, may heaven release multiplied discernment, divine protection, and spiritual clarity back into your life. I feel it in my spirit. Some of you are led to respond right now. This is your prophetic moment to help send truth like fire into dark corners of the world. Every gift, whether through super thanks, YouTube membership, or directly through the PayPal link in the description, becomes a key in someone else's deliverance. You're not just helping a channel, you're helping warriors wake up. You're partnering with Michael's sword. You're putting oil on altars that must stay burning. Move now. Move with faith. Move with fire. Heaven sees it. Heaven honors it. Heaven multiplies it. This was never about her eyes alone. This was never just about her presence, her tone, or the way she watched you when you weren't looking. No, this is far deeper. This is spiritual. This is warfare disguised in normalcy. This is like being confronted by a shadow pretending to be a friend. This is a test of discernment, not a declaration of defeat. You must hear me now with clarity. What you felt was not a flaw in you. It was a flare in the spirit realm. The enemy has studied your light. Hell has observed your growth. And in this hour, Satan no longer approaches you through open doors. He sends whispers wrapped in smiles. He does not always roar. He recruits through the eyes of the familiar. The greatest deception always comes cloaked in the language of love. That is what this was. Her gaze wasn't just observation. It was projection. Her presence was not a coincidence. It was a carrier. But she was not the source. She was a vessel, used, knowingly or unknowingly, by a spirit that could not approach you directly, so it hid behind her concern. You see now, the moment you began to elevate spiritually, the moment you stepped deeper into alignment with divine purpose, The opposition shifted. The attacks stopped being loud. They became subtle. The warfare evolved. It didn't need incantations or rituals this time. It needed your agreement, and the eye contact with enough. Heaven recorded that moment. Your spirit stirred in discomfort. That was not paranoia. That was protection. The uneasiness you felt was your inner man recognizing the counterfeit presence of a spirit that mimics light but speaks the language of control. This is not about her personality. This is about the spirit that worked through her. And hear me clearly. Heaven is not accusing her. Heaven is warning you. There is a realm beyond what is seen. There are intentions layered beneath words. And there are spirits that long to dim light, not with destruction, but with distraction. That's what this was. A spiritual decoy sent to test the strength of your discernment. And even if you weren't sure then, you are seeing clearly now. You are not cursed. You are called. You are not under spiritual attack as a punishment. You are under scrutiny because your light is increasing, and your name has been mentioned in heavenly places. Those assigned to great authority are tested in the realm of subtlety. And this was such a test. You passed, not because you knew all the answers, but because you stayed sensitive to the shift. You noticed the fog. You sensed the unrest. You felt the depletion. That was your alarm system sounding, and heaven has been watching every moment. Every glance, every whisper, every intent, recorded before the throne. The Spirit of the living God wastes nothing. He saw your pose. He saw her approach. He saw the silence she stood in. And he saw the moment your spirit recoiled, even if your mind did understand why. This is why the message comes now, because you are in the aftermath of that moment, and the Spirit is here to unbind what her gaze tried to tether. This is your confirmation. The warfare was real, but so is your authority. You are not under. You are rising. And no binding gaze, no silent spell, no counterfeit care can touch the one who walks in the fire of God's discernment. You are not who you were when she looked at you. You are wiser now, sharper now, covered now. Type "I walk in light" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1444 is now surrounding your spirit with fire. Now hear this, for this part is urgent. The air is shifting, and the realm of spirit is responding to what was uncovered. The time of hidden bondage has ended, and what she released is now being reversed, not by your words, not by confrontation, but by heaven's decree. She is restless now. The one who locked eyes with you, the one who pretended to care, the one who passed something to you in silence. She can feel the pullback. She may not understand it consciously, but the spirits she carried do. They feel the severing. They feel the unraveling. And they are stirring in response. Because once you receive divine revelation, the assignment loses its grip. Within 72 hours, something will break. It may not be loud. It may not be obvious. But it will be real. A dream may come, one where her face appears again, not in comfort, but in confrontation. You may wake up with clarity so sharp it cuts through days of confusion. You may feel a sudden urge to cleanse, to anoint your space, to speak over your home, to declare peace over your own body. Do not dismiss this. These are not random thoughts. These are divine signals, signs that the binding is being broken, and heaven is delivering you into full awareness. And I speak now with the authority of the Most High. Do not engage her again. Not in conversation. Not in defense. Not even in curiosity. The moment has passed, and her door is closed. To re-enter through it would be to re-entangle yourself with what heaven just severed. Silence is your shield now. Your absence is your weapon. Your lack of response is divine obedience. Let her wonder. Let her reach. Let her feel the withdrawal. Do not return. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. This is obedience. This is spiritual protection in action. Do not seek to fix what God exposed. Do not soften what heaven revealed. She may not know the full extent of what she carried, but the spirits attached to her did, and they lost access the moment your discernment was ignited. That is why you may feel pressure in your atmosphere, not because you're bound, but because the bond is breaking. That pressure is a sign of heaven doing holy surgery, tearing apart what once tried to fuse itself to your energy. The woman's eyes sent darkness, but hear me now. Heaven is returning light sevenfold. Your mind will become clearer. Your emotions will stabilize. Your confidence will rise again. You will feel the lightness come back, not because you forced it, but because the spirit realm hath been rebalanced in your favor. There is a holy reversal in motion. What was sent to dim you will now illuminate the areas where you were once vulnerable. Where she tried to tether, God now releases. Where she tried to sow confusion, God now plants wisdom. What was meant to delay you has only quickened your awakening. There is no need for revenge. There is no need for explanation. Just alignment. Just stillness. Just obedience to the strategy of heaven. And the strategy is this: be still. Be silent. Be set apart. Let the word do what your words cannot. Let the fire do what confrontation would only complicate. 'Cause the battle is not yours. It never was. And the one who tried to bind you without a word will now watch you rise without a sound. Her restlessness is not your concern. Her confusion is not your responsibility. What matters now is your restoration. And it has already begun. Type "I will not return" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1717 is activated and fighting for you in silence. Be still. That is heaven's instruction to you now. Be still, not because you are passive, not because you are weak, but because the battlefield has shifted. The war is not being fought with swords in your hand, but with swords drawn in the unseen by angels who answer to the voice of God. This is not your hour to react. It is your hour to resist without movement and to conquer through stillness. The enemy thrives on your attention. He feeds on your reaction. But when you stay silent, when you withdraw, when you choose stillness and obedience, the enemy's grip collapses without your participation. The Spirit of God is releasing a divine strategy. Do not respond in the natural. This is not the time to seek answers from her, nor try to piece together her motive. Heaven has already judged it. Her intention was not your responsibility. Your protection is. And heaven is handling that now. Your job is to retreat into the secret place. Cleanse your space. Cover your name. Guard your voice. Protect your peace. This is how you fight now, by letting the angels war while you rest in trust. Your silence is not weakness. It is warfare. It is alignment. It is surrender to divine timing. It is the evidence that you understand this battle was never about personalities. It was about access. It was about influence. It was about an unauthorized tether formed through the eyes. And heaven has now revoked that access. The gates are being sealed. Your light is being restored. And the Spirit of God is reclothing you in divine authority. Now speak these words aloud, not for theatrics, but for spiritual sealing. I am sealed in divine light. No gaze, no word, no thought against me shall stand. No eye that lingered, no smile that masked intent, no false prayer offered in pride will prevail over me. I am hidden under the wings of the Almighty. I am guarded by heaven's fire. I am covered by the blood of the Lamb. I am unseen by darkness, but fully visible to divine protection. Let that become your morning declaration, your night covering, your midday shield. The eyes that sought to bind you will now witness your restoration, and it will confuse the spirits behind them, because you will rise without responding. You will blow without explaining. You will move forward without returning, because you are learning the weapon of silence, the sacredness of retreat, the holiness of separation. That is where the power is, in stepping back so heaven can step in. This is also your time of consecration. The Spirit invites you into a brief but powerful season of spiritual withdrawal. As the life of forwards, draw not from love but from interference. Cleanse your environment. Speak only when the Spirit leads. Pray in the Spirit. Anoint your doorposts. Take communion in remembrance of your covering. Light a candle if led, not as ritual but as symbol. Let every act in this season become an act of war, because now everything has meaning. Your stillness is loaded. Your silence is fire. Your solitude is saturated with glory. Heaven has set you apart for this reason, because not everyone who meets your eyes deserves access to your spirit. And now you know. You're not paranoid. You're protected. You're not fragile. You're chosen. And the woman who used her gaze as a doorway has been shut out from your future. The bond is broken. The atmosphere is cleansed. Your path is covered. And your spirit is surrounded with holy fire. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1919 is now defending your house and shielding your name. Now rise. Not in rebellion, not in pride, but in quiet power. Rise, not with fists clenched, but with your spirit awakened. Rise, because you are no longer who you were when her eyes met yours. You have shifted. You have come through a holy fire. What once held your peace hostage no longer has permission. The chains of unseen control have melted. The fog that once blurred your vision has lifted. And what stands in you now is not the same version that walked blindly into that gaze. You are reformed, reforged, refined. The Spirit of the Lord declares, you are no longer deceived. You are discerning. You are no longer dimmed. You are radiant. And even now, as these words reach you, something in your atmosphere has shifted. A heaviness that once clouded your mind. It is being expelled. That fear that you couldn't quite name. It is being exiled. You are being reset in divine clarity. Heaven is restoring what was siphoned from you, but it is not giving it back in the same form. Lo, it returns multiplied, fortified, purified. Your energy is recalibrating. Your aura is igniting. Your spiritual armor is being refitted. Can you feel it? This is not imagination. This is inheritance. The same moment that was meant to suppress you has become the fuel that awakens you. The very act of deception became a doorway to deeper discernment. But the enemy meant as a snare has now become a staircase. Your fall was not fatal, it was educational. And the fire that tried to burn you now burns within you as power. You are stepping into a new awareness. The eyes that once deceived you have now trained your gaze. You are seeing beyond the surface. You are hearing beneath the words. You are reading atmospheres the way others read pages. That is the gift being activated, the gift of spiritual sight. You will no longer be caught off guard by false light. You will no longer welcome interference dressed as assistance. You will no longer give access to those sent to extract. And yes, This had to happen. You had to feel the discomfort. You had to walk through that moment of confusion. Because heaven needed to show you what it looks like when control comes cloaked in concern. You needed to learn what binding feels like so you would recognize it next time before it takes root. This was your training. This was your awakening. This was your anointing in disguise. Now lift your eyes. Not to search for her, but to see what lies ahead. Because the enemy's tactic has failed. The assignment has backfired. You were not buried under this. You were birthed through it. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. You are no longer uncertain. You are anchored. You are no longer clouded. You are clarified. The fire didn't consume you. It exposed you. And through the ashes, a new version of you has emerged, one that will not be bound again. So thank heaven. Thank heaven for the exposure. Thank heaven for the revelation. Thank heaven for not letting the binded go unnoticed. Because revelation is protection, and heaven always reveals before it restores. This was never about punishment. It was about promotion. You've passed through the silence, through the weight, through the mystery, and now you walk in light. Type "I'm rising" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing Code 2020 is now awakening your discernment and elevating your atmosphere. Now let the revelation be made plain. What happened to you was not a random encounter. It was not merely an uncomfortable moment, nor a strange emotional dip. It was a holy setup, a divine orchestration, a test with fire woven in silence. Heaven allowed the encounter, not to break you, not to shame you, but to unlock you. And you have been unlocked. Your spiritual eyesight, once blurred by trust and familiarity, has now been cleared by fire. What with once subtle now screams. What once went unnoticed now burns bright in your discernment. This is the evidence. You have matured. The Spirit of God says this. I let them approach so you would learn to see. I let their eyes meet yours so your spirit would awaken. I allowed the smile, the soft tone, the spiritual disguise, because you needed to learn the difference between true light and shadow cloaked in empathy. You are not broken. You are built. You are not behind. You are beyond. And now, a new level is opening. Your promotion has come, but not in the form you expected. It didn't come through applause. It came through a silent exchange, one that tested your atmosphere, your peace, your resolve. And now, because you endured it, because you didn't give up even in the fog of confusion, the Spirit declares, your name is being spoken in heavenly chambers. The angels have marked your response. The throne has measured your heart. And the one who sees all has found you faithful. You did not curse her. You did not retaliate. You didn't fight her in the natural. You stayed still long enough to hear the voice of heaven. And that choice, that stillness, that obedience has opened new gates in the Spirit. Listen closely. Your alliances are changing. The people around you will shift. Those sent by heaven will begin to appear, not all at once, but strategically. These will be ones who carry oil, not imitation. Those who bring clarity, not confusion. You will notice it by their eyes. This time, you will feel peace instead of pressure. These will be divine replacements for what was removed. Because heaven never subtracts without the intent to multiply in purity. This is the beginning of a new era for you. A season of alignment, not noise. A season of still waters, not tidal confusion. But you must walk in what you now know. You must guard your gaze. You must discern not only words, but atmospheres. Not every person sent to help is holy. Not every well-meaning smile is safe. Now you know. Now you see. Now you rise, sealed in truth. The Father says, I allowed the eyes of deception so I could train yours in revelation. You are being entrusted now with a greater sight, a sharper hearing, a deeper knowing. And with this gift comes responsibility to protect your peace, to guard your energy, to discern your doors. Heaven has upgraded your access, and now you must steward it with honor. The encounter was painful, but it was holy. The confusion was heavy, but it was divine. Because through that moment, through her eyes, through the weight, through the silence, you were chosen to rise. Not in bitterness, not in fear, but in truth. Your next level begins where deception ends, and the deception has ended. Type I am walking in truth in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 3030 is now opening divine alignment over your life. This message is a mirror for your spirit, not just to see, but to recognize who you are becoming. Every time these messages go out, chains break in places we cannot see. Your support becomes a river of deliverance to those still trapped in silent warfare. As it is written, he who waters will himself be watered. When you give, you're not just donating, you're declaring war against darkness in someone else's life. You're lighting lamps where deception once ruled. You're answering the call that says, send truth, send fire, send clarity. I sense it now. Someone's spirit is stirred to act. This is more than generosity. It is alignment. Whether you support through super thanks, become a member, or sow directly through the PayPal link in the description, your seed becomes sacred. It partners with the angelic. It sends light where shadows linger. Now move, not from emotion, but from obedience. Release what's in your hand and watch heaven release what's in his. Now that your eyes are open and your discernment is awakened, the voice of heaven calls you into action. No longer can you live as one who merely reacts. You must now respond as one chosen, one appointed, one sent. The encounter with her was not a detour, it was a divine intersection. And now that the deception has been revealed and the confusion lifted, you must rise and activate what heaven placed within you long before that woman ever appeared. You are not a casualty of spiritual warfare. You are a commander born from it. Stand up in your spirit. This is not the time to sit in delay, to wallow in the pain of what was, or to analyze the fragments of her manipulation. This is the time to declare, my spirit is free. Say it out loud. Not just for yourself, but as a witness to the realm of darkness that watched you fall silent in that moment of eye contact. Let them now see that you are no longer subdued. Let every spirit that hovered around her presence, that fed on her false compassion, now tremble, because you are moving, you are speaking, and you are rising in the power of clarity. You must now begin to move in divine rhythm. Alignment starts with agreement, and heaven is waiting on your yes. Not a hesitant yes, not a religious yes, a deep, resounding, fearless yes that comes from a soul who knows that they were not rescued just to be restored, but to be recommissioned. The same spirit that discerned the darkness in her is the spirit that will now guide you into the brightness of your next assignment. Heaven does not reveal without reason. What was exposed was meant to activate. Begin to journal what the Spirit is showing you now. Write the vision. Speak your restoration. Declare your authority aloud, not as ritual, but as reaffirmation. Use your voice. Use your stillness. Use your breath. This is not about rushing forward. It is about realigning with purpose and remembering who you were before her eyes tried to bind you. What she tried to restrict has now been released. and that release carries responsibility. Heaven is calling you to walk differently now, to choose connections more carefully, to test atmospheres, not just words, to sense spirits behind the smiles. You are not being called to suspicion. You are being called to spiritual stewardship. There are places you must now go where only the awakened are sent. There are people waiting for the fire you now carry, fire birthed not in comfort, but in confrontation with spiritual deception. Let this become your commissioning moment. Speak boldly. I am no longer bound by unspoken pacts. I am no longer influenced by deceptive eyes. I am aligned. I am assigned. I am walking in divine awareness. I am not afraid of their faces. I am not shaken by their silence. I am fully awake. I am fully chosen. Your silence was not surrender. It was strategy. Your delay was not defeat. It was divine redirection. And now, you are back in rhythm with heaven's pace. The enemy hoped to distract you, but distraction has become discipline. The dark magic intended to bind you without a spell has only intensified your discernment. Her unspoken control has only unlocked your command. What entered through her eyes has now been sent back, purified and reversed by the fire of God. You are free. Now walk like it. You are delivered. Now decree it. You are aligned. Now act like it. Type "My spirit is free" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3131 is now activating heaven's instructions over your path. While your mind may have been uncertain, your spirit knew. It knew the moment it happened. A subtle shift. That strange stillness. That quiet heaviness that entered after her eyes locked onto yours. She didn't speak a word, but something was said. Something came in. Something passed between realms while you were still trying to figure out what she wanted. What she wanted was never verbalized, but the spirit realm felt it loud and clear. It wasn't a conversation. It was a silent exchange, spirit to spirit, unseen by the natural eye, yet fully recorded in heaven. This was not about her posture or her body language. This wasn't even about her words, because she didn't need them. Her intent rode in on her gaze. Her desire clothed itself in stillness. She bypassed the noise of language and went straight to the gate, your eyes, the window of your soul. And for a moment, the gate opened. Not because you were weak, but because you were trusting. Because you were kind-hearted. Because you were still learning that not every smile is safe, that not every helper is holy, that not every form of quiet is peace. But now the Spirit of God reveals this to you plainly. Your soul caught what your mind could not process. Your spirit flinched even as your body stood still. That was a warning. That was your inner fire trying to raise the alarm. Heaven saw it. And heaven did not wait. In that very moment, angels were dispatched. A countermeasure was activated. A reversal was already in progress before you even knew you had been touched. What she sent, heaven has already begun to retrieve. What her eyes tried to mark, heaven has already erased. What was whispered in the realm of shadow hath been answered in thunder from the throne. This is not just a restoration of peace. It is a transactional reversal in the spirit. For every ounce of emotional exhaustion, strength is being returned. For every mental fog, clarity is pouring in. For every drop of discernment that felt dulled, heaven is sharpening your edge. While you sleep, heaven moves. While you rest, angelic forces reclaim what was taken. They do not come with questions. They come with orders. What the enemy tried to possess through silence, heaven now reclaims through fire. This is not symbolic. This is literal. As your eyes close at night, as your body enters rest, there are battles being fought for you, with swords of light and decrees from the highest realm. The same eyes that tried to bind you are now blind to your next season. Heaven has cloaked you. You are hidden from what once haunted you. Your tears, they were not wasted. Your sighs, they were not ignored. They became your petition, and that petition reached the ears of the king. Michael's sword was drawn not when you screamed, but when you surrendered in silence. You didn't need to fight with words, your stillness was your warfare. And now, justice is moving. Recovery is in motion. Everything she tried to drain from you is being returned in multiplied form. The shift already happened. Your spirit caught it before your mind did. That's why you felt relief before you even had answers. That's why, even in your confusion, you sensed that something had lifted. Because it had. The transaction has been reversed. The spiritual cord severed. The silent exchange has now become a divine interception. And you are walking in the aftermath of angelic victory. Nothing was truly lost, only misplaced for a moment. And now, what was once clouded has become crystal. What was once heavy has become holy. What was once used to bind you is now the very reason you're walking in supernatural discernment. Type "I claim divine reversal" in the comments if you receive this word. Lesson code 4141 is restoring everything stolen in silence. Justice is not delayed. Justice is not asleep. Justice is not blind when heaven sits on the throne. The Spirit of the Lord declares, spiritual justice is in motion. The moment she used her eyes as a portal and her silence as a snare, a record was made in the courts of heaven. She may have walked away with no words, no trace, no visible offense, but the exchange was documented. The intention was weighed, and the balance has been tipped. Heaven does not forget what man overlooks. The reversal has begun, and the justice will be visible. You do not need to curse her. You do not need to speak evil over her name. You do not need to get even, because heaven already moved. Every hidden intent she carried is now laid bare in the light. What she did in secret is now surrounded by fire. What she whispered in the shadows hath been exposed in the spirit. And while you may have felt disoriented, isolated, or emotionally drained, heaven was fighting while you were quiet. Understand this clearly. The eyes that locked on you with the goal of tethering your will, your emotions, and your energy were not simply an act of envy or insecurity. They were a weapon forged in the spirit realm. But now, the Lord has declared, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue, visible or invisible, shall be condemned. That includes eyes that tried to manipulate. That includes thoughts projected toward you with control. That includes emotional manipulation dressed in concern. All of it has now fallen under divine judgment. You are not just being freed, you are being avenged. Not in rage, not in malice, but in divine perfection. The God who sees all has balanced the scales in your favor. He has released angelic intervention to turn what was meant for harm into a mantle of discernment and authority. She didn't just fail to bind you, she activated your rising. The spirit she hosted has now been stripped of legal access. Her silence may have carried power for a moment, but your stillness has now shattered it for eternity. And this is the decree of heaven. For every ounce of manipulation sent your way, double clarity is now released. For every emotion that was twisted or confused, there is now a baptism of truth flooding your heart. For every unseen arrow shot through that glance, there is now a shield rising that cannot be pierced. You will know peace again, but this time, not as a feeling, as a fortress. Your restoration is not just emotional, it is evidence. It is spiritual proof that heaven defends its own, that angels are not idle, that justice in the kingdom of God is swift and absolute. You may have walked away feeling weak, confused, or compromised, but that was before the divine reversal. That was before heaven overturned what hell tried to disguise. Now, the same woman who tried to bind you without a word will witness your rise without explanation. Your silence spoke, but your clarity will thunder. There will be signs. Sudden understanding begins in your sleep. A deep calm where anxiety once lived. An unshakable confidence where self-doubt used to linger. Because justice does not whisper, it roars. And it has roared on your behalf. The tide has turned. The story has flipped. And where she attempted to bind, heaven has now caused you to break free with power. You don't need to look back. You don't need to seek closure. You are the evidence. You are the conclusion. You are the living proof that when darkness sends silent sorcery, heaven responds with open vindication. And now, walk knowing this. You are defended, delivered, and destined. Type "Justice is mine" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5151 has released divine verdicts in your favor. Hear now the final word. Archangel Michael was sent to reveal what eyes concealed. Not just to inform you, not just to awaken you, but to seal you in light, to cover you in truth, to declare that your spirit is now untouchable to the schemes of darkness. What was hidden behind a gaze has now been judged by fire. What entered in silence has now been expelled by divine authority. The spiritual transaction that occurred without words has been intercepted, reversed, and burned in the courts of heaven. Let this truth settle deep within you. You are shielded. You are not walking into the next season unguarded. You are not stepping into your next assignment with residue from what she tried to bind. And oh, you are moving forward cleansed, covered, and called. Every trace of her influence is being purged. Every mark left by that idol encounter is being erased. You are not carrying her residue. You are carrying heaven's reinforcement. Let the divine blessing rest upon you now. May divine fire surround you, sealing every entry of darkness. May the Holy Spirit fill every place where confusion once sat. May the blood of Jesus run through your atmosphere like a flood, overtaking every lingering energy, dismantling every projection, cutting off every soul tie formed in silence. May your home be saturated in peace. May your spirit walk in new strength. May your discernment remain sharp, and your joy unshaken. You are not only free, you are fortified. You are not only delivered, you are dangerous to the realm of deception now. You walk as one who cannot be bound again. Heaven has placed fire around your name, light around your feet, and angels at every threshold of your path. You will never be caught off guard again. You will never be deceived by false light again. You have seen behind the veil, and that sight can never be stolen. Now walk in discernment. Do not hurry, but do not retreat. Move with the confidence of one who is sealed, seen, and sent. You are not waiting for confirmation. You are the confirmation. You are the evidence of divine reversal. You are the living proof that silent warfare cannot overcome a soul sealed in truth. This is your time to move forward, with your armor, with your oil, and with the fire of revelation burning in your eyes. Say it out loud. I am shielded. I am seen. I am rising. Heaven has spoken, and you are marked. Type "I am sealed" in the comments if this final word resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 6161 is closing every false door and securing every true one. This final word wasn't just for healing. It was a spiritual call to rise, to walk in truth, and to carry this fire forward. If you felt the weight of heaven in this message, if your eyes were opened, your soul lifted, or your spirit stirred, then you know this is not just content, it is kingdom work. When you support this voice, you're helping deliver prophetic rescue missions into homes, hearts, and hurting spirits around the world. Every gift becomes light. Every seed becomes a sword. Every offering becomes a declaration. Let truth rise. As the Spirit leads, you can support through Super Thanks, YouTube membership, with a PayPal link in the description. Your obedience fuels the release of more truth. You're not just giving, you're activating. You're answering heaven's call to equip, awaken, and shield others. Now is your moment. Don't delay. Move with faith. Move with intention. Move with fire. Heaven sees it. Heaven blesses it. Heaven multiplies it.